And welcome to today's review of the Transformers Dark of the Moon Human Alliance Basics Thunderhead. Now, where do we begin? Well, the general overview of this guy is he's interesting, you know, it likes throwing away around, that'll help. Yeah, stability's good, I'll tell you that much, okay? That is the baseline for anything like this. If it can stand, that's cool. Now, paint detailing on the shins, calves, whatever. Paint detailing for the black treads. Take the gun out of the hand. There you go. On the other side too. The ones on the feet, they seem a bit like glossy and painted. For all I know though, I'm wrong. For all I know it's paint. Head and chest, those are painted for sure. Crotch plate and abdomen or stomachy area painted. Little bit of whatever going on here, a little bit of paint here. Tampergraphed Autobot symbol. There's not an awful lot going on, but basically he is cool from a visual standpoint. However, he does have quirks. The hands do not face the right way. He has no biceps swivel either, so you're not going to be able to fix that. You try and turn this, you're going to snap the arm. Generally though, just your heart, you know, nitpicks, they're definitely going to come into my final thoughts, really. You know, it's definitely disappointing. This guy, on the other hand, this is Major Tungsten. He is his Human Alliance companion. Same points of articulation as the last dude, so he kind of has the arms, legs, wrists, knees, knee swivel, and head tilt. That is it, really. You know, it's fine. You know, no elbows or whatever, but at the size, I'm not too bothered. So from here, we're just going to actually look at this guy's transformation. Now, shoulders go up on this joint. That's actually for the transformation, but you know, we'll count it because it doesn't. You don't have to untransform him to get access to it. The shoulders are going to swing all the way around our ball joint. Elbows are going to pull a bit less than 90. Absolutely arse, but you know, whatever. If you really want to get technical about it, the wrists hinge inwards. Sure, whatever. It's not actually helping anything. Does he have a waist? No, he doesn't. He has an ab crunch. That's okay. Head swivels all the way around. Does it move any other way? No. Legs kick up really far. Legs kick back not so far. Problem with having a backpack. Facts of having a backpack. God knows at this point. Knees. What are knees, you say? Well, the knees do not bend backwards. Now, if you have the legs oriented this way without the paint detailing, you do get knees. So maybe I'll count that. But because the leg is intended to be this way, I think maybe it's not. Who knows? Find out next time. No. Toes, they move, but they're not doing anything. You move them, he stops standing. It's a complicated ordeal. And then finally, I swivel. We're going to have him like this, so the knees actually function. And I think having the leg like that would be useful for the alt mode. So, from here, we're just going to look at him with a couple of his wave mates, or for a lack of wave mates. Oh no, we're just going to look at fucking, I don't know. I don't know. We're going to look at him with some other Dark of the Moon dudes. So, for the size comparison, Battle Blades Optimus Prime, Dark of the Moon Ratchet, Human Alliance Backfire, Ralph. Now, generally this is fine. You know, smaller Autobots or Transformers or whatever, you know. Scale is not too important with these guys, considering they're non-characters, so to speak. They kind of don't exist outside of being toys. Maybe in some of the really old Transformers comics that were in the Transformers magazine or whatever. Maybe something like that. Have I read any? Not for many years. Generally though, but I'm perfectly okay with this. This Optimus Prime, he's from Hunt for the Decepticons. He is a fairly rare figure. I don't have the tanks for mine, but I do have the Dark of the Moon repaint. That one I have complete and he's even more rare. But regardless, that kind of clears that up. He looks cool with everything, you know. Generally, something to appreciate. So for the transformation on this guy, you know, it's pretty straightforward. You gotta put the gun here, mate. There you go. You gotta flip him around. Gonna have the arms like this. C-clip section facing outwards. Okay, yeah. Rotate the turret like so. Fold the feet inward. Okay, now I'm actually questioning this. Why could they not, right, just make the knee joint universal? Because what I have just figured out here, I'm gonna fold this out here, and then that section like so. Okay, we've aborted mission. Jump cut to doing this correctly. So, all of my complaints for the alt mode are going out of the window, at least for the tank mode, because we did this wrong, right? Okay, what you want to do is you want to lift the head up, okay, swing it up like so. Once it's swung up fully, this whole turret section, right, will rotate, like so, okay, rotates. You swing it back round, so the seated section is on the back of the vehicle, the kind of, I don't know, front bit, whatever in the hell it is. Alright, the cage section. You want that on the front, seat on the back. Bend his knees. Let's get him in there. We will do this successfully, I'll tell you. On the end of it, I swear. Now, due to the faff of all of this, like, it works, okay? Just, why is everything harder on camera? So, from here, we're actually just going to go into the third mode, the mech mode. This is personally what I think is the best mode. Purely for novelty, not functionality. There's very, very important distinction to be made, to be honest. And yeah, it's a mode that exists. You know, it's kind of a, I wouldn't say it's the selling point. What you go want to do is kind of just copy me, kind of swing the turret around, hinge the kind of ab section down so it can stand like this. Okay, and the arms are going to swing around. You're going to fold the wrists out. Now, this figure suffers from prioritizing this mode. The wrists not facing the right way in robot mode, so they face the correct way in mech mode. Why? What? If they're just, I don't know, maybe engineered this slightly differently and cut a wrist into that section, we wouldn't be having this problem. But, you know, regardless. Anyway, there he basically is in the mech. Cool stuff, right? So, for a size comparison in this mode, I'm not doing it in the other one purely because I feel like this is the important mode. My apologies. Dark of the Moon Voyager Ironhide. Dark of the Moon Deluxe Q. Ralph. Steve. No. So, right. No. Just immediate disapproval. Generally here, the kind of mech mode is fine. You know, it's fine with everything else. I think it's the most interesting thing that this figure does, as flawed as he may be because of it. You know, it's whatever. It exists. I'm not going to knock it too much. My final thoughts on this, we're just going to go straight into those. I'm very conflicted. We have a mid-robot mode with like one or two articulation points that are somewhat unique to him, but then you don't get biceps, you don't get hands that face the right way, you don't have a waist, you don't have a thigh swivel. Well, you do have a thigh swivel, sorry. The knees, they're one of the main points of contention here. At least Backfire, for what it's worth, the last review had knees, even if they were a bit impeded by the kibble. However, that figure greatly suffers in the articulation department as well. This figure, more so. So, for the aesthetics on this guy, we're going to get straight to that instead. Articulation, we'll just circle back around to it, you know, because maybe you'll have one or two more choice words to say. I think it's shit. But yeah, generally though, hey, what can you do? The specs on this guy are a 6 out of 10. It's just kind of okay in all the modes. You know, this is unique as it is. Functionality on this, specifically kind of getting the person into the chair and properly situated. Even off camera, it's not a fun experience getting everything lined up so the hands can be where they need to be on these bar sections or whatever. Or even on the lower part, it's a bit difficult still. Just everything about him is just kind of fine. You know, so 6 on that. The transformation on this guy, getting into any of the modes, it's a fairly straightforward experience. It's not really fun or engaging. It's just kind of there. It just gets a 5. You know, it's whatever it is. It's not like Backfire where it's doing anything really smart and actually resulting in a very cohesive alt mode. The articulation on this guy, by comparison to Backfire, is worse. If Backfire was getting a 4 out of 10 on articulation, this is getting 3, because as flawed as that figure was, this figure is more flawed in the articulation department. Mech or not, you know, there was no need to sacrifice the robot mode just so it could do this. I'm sorry. I would have rather just had a figure that was a robot in attack. And then lastly, value for money on this guy, it's just a 5. Do what you want with it, you know. For a tenner back in 2011 or whatever, you know, you can't do too much wrong, considering the playability on this is really good. But everything else about it kinda sucks. This has been AnimatedCHUG. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Also, I just noticed, maybe when I started this, or when I was partway through it, I've knocked the camera. So we've been at a bit of a slant for a while. My bad. See you next time.